excited for. This was amazing. After some time passed though, more people started to realize that this would significantly reduce the replayability of the game for dedicated players. Although people did like crafting the weapons to get amazing perk rolls, the crafting system also made much of the game's loot completely irrelevant. For instance, if you crafted all of the raid weapons, you no longer had any incentive to ever run any of the raids ever again. Before crafting existed, many dedicated players always loved the prospect of potentially one day getting that perfectly rolled weapon to drop from a raid. But after the introduction of crafting, all of that loot.
Hello? Oh, there we go. What the fuck? Alright. That was interesting. Whatever. Oh, there we go. What the f was me?
Thanks. I don't know how long of a lease, maybe a 10-year lease or something. So I don't think no one expected COVID.
Say, employees were very upset when they found out that Bungie decided to upgrade their headquarters instead of paying their salaries. Due to their insane financial illiteracy, it became clear that Bungie would be unable to pay off their debts and that they would soon become insolvent. After wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on failed incubation projects, insane promotions, huge new buildings, and hundreds of new employees, the company found itself in an extremely difficult position. They were desperate for someone to come bail them out of this nightmare, and then luckily, Sony agreed to buy them for $3.6 billion. This was a huge moment for the survival of the company.
It was a
even
huge
after
moment.
the acquisition, Bungie really didn't fix any of the problems that caused them to become insolvent in the first place. They kept investing crazy money into making new games instead of working on Destiny. They kept ignoring the core game modes, they kept ignoring the terrible new player experience, and they just hoped that things would magically get better. There were reports of employees literally begging the leadership to make the changes that players wanted, but these cries for help were sadly ignored. Leadership clearly had an overly ambitious pipe dream of making Bungie a multi-IP studio that would have like 5 games going all at once. But unfortunately, this ambition led to the decline of the one IP that was actually making all of their money. Surprise, surprise, it turns out that trying to fund 5 games by siphoning money away from Destiny is probably not the greatest idea in the long run. The studio was losing money and operating.
Love this game but wouldn't ask friends to learn it.
Started playing 18 months ago. The hard stuff that's not explained is the penny power grinding, armor stat rolls, ability tiers, seasonal artifact, and learning weapon perks. Subclass stuff is self-explanatory. Love this game, but wouldn't ask friends to learn it. Gotcha.
In the red, and eventually, layoffs would become inevitable. Destiny's next major expansion, called Lightfall, was hyped up about as much as any expansion could possibly be hyped. Major streamers were playing the game for the first time in years, and many people decided to give the game a second chance. Destiny was nearing the end of its first massive story that had been building up for 8 years now, and everyone was excited to see what would happen next. As it turned out though, this was probably the worst possible time for people to return to the game. While visually—
Dude, why does this happen? Every time Destiny is like in the spotlight, it's like D1 vanilla, the 2 vanilla Lightfall. It's like just missing the free throw. You know, I mean, just it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because here's the thing. I would have loved for everyone to try Final Shape, and there's a lot of people that try Final Shape. The numbers for Final Shape were really good. It was just it was 3 months late. But the hype for Lightfall was so huge, man. We hyped it up too. We thought it was gonna be, you know, Avengers Infinity War. We thought it was gonna be on Infinity War.
Stunning, the much anticipated Lightfall campaign was universally hated. The narrative did not push the game forward in any significant direction, and instead, it just talked about this thing called the Veil without ever explaining to us what the Veil actually was. Bife put out a scathing video that went trending on YouTube to talk about just how bad the storytelling really was. Unfortunately, the hype to disappointment ratio was probably higher now than it had ever been in the franchise's history. Nobody was happy, and one popular comment from the time said, well, we've got to give it to Bungie for successfully meeting their criteria of under-delivering. As time went on, the failure of Lightfall would lead to many people not being interested in playing the following seasons, or even the following expansions. People lost all faith in Bungie's ability to tell a story, and players really did not have a lot of hope for the future. As Bungie continued to deliver their cookie-cutter seasonal formula, which wasn't impressing anyone, the player count headed towards all-time lows.
Yeah, all-time lows.
The state of the game was a post that dropped in the summer, and people were furious that it realistically delivered more bad news than good news. At a time when we desperately needed to be reassured about the future, the article basically just said like, yeah, we aren't doing much for PvP, strikes are getting a tiny update, and Gambit is not popular, so we aren't doing anything there. It's almost like Bungie had the Pikachu surprise face when they realized that Gambit and PvP were not popular anymore after they were literally ignored for 5 years. The following showcase for the Final Shape expansion was also pretty underwhelming, as it did not show off any new subclasses, enemies, or gameplay systems that would notably change the overall experience. A little while later, Bungie responded to the outrage by assembling a mini PvP team to improve the Crucible. But the truth is, this was far too little and far too late. As I explained earlier, the vast majority of PvP players quit years ago due to the clear pattern of neglect, and ultimately this promise of a new PvP team was not going to convince them to come back. Around this time, the loot chase for Destiny became almost non-existent. The harsh truth is that almost nobody's going to be excited about the 200th SMG that is only 1% different from all of the others. Especially with the crafting system giving players access to all of the best perks, many activities just didn't feel as rewarding anymore. After you crafted the new weapons from any given season, there was simply no incentive to play anymore, and people were definitely getting bored. In the fall of 2023, things became more dire than ever before as Bungie laid off a sizable portion of their company, parting ways with massively important employees such as the incredible music composer Michael Salvatori. At this point, it became publicly
he did
known
like
that Bungie's leadership
Beyond
was
Light, right?
absolutely
This
awful,
raid,
and employees shared terrible stories
like
about
that?
mismanagement and poor decision-making. There were multiple tweets of current and former employees just blasting the CEO and the leadership team for their actions. Someone allegedly asked Bungie leadership if they would consider reducing their salary to prevent layoffs, and then they answered that Bungie was, quote, not that type of company. At the same time that this was happening, Bungie CEO Pete Parsons was actively spending millions of dollars on all of these expensive
Tens of
cars,
millions.
and not even considering the possibility of reducing his own insanely high salary. Leadership at Bungie appeared to care more about their own wealth and car collections than about paying their hard-working employees. In the spring, Bungie released a lot of new content to fill the gap before the Final Shape expansion. This was called Into the Light, and it brought back a ton of non-craftable loot that players were actually very excited to get. This period leading up to the Final Shape was quite a high point, and players couldn't wait to experience what would be coming with the conclusion of Destiny's main saga. We all had very high hopes because Bungie publicly announced that they were trying to make this expansion one of the best of all time. The Final Shape expansion launched in June 2024, and man, it was an absolutely incredible experience.
Oh my god, it was what a time,
conclusion
baby.
to the story, an awesome new destination inside of the Traveler, and a whole bunch of nostalgia that wrapped up the last 10 years of Destiny. With their backs against the wall, Bungie was forced to finally make something awesome, and they arguably over-delivered for the first time since Forsaken. Despite its amazing reception though, the expansion did not sell very well, and actually it sold even worse than Lightfall.
Cade deserved better? No. Cade. Look, the conclusion with Cade, I thought was beautiful. I truly thought it was beautiful. I love what the narrative that was being driven, the core of that, which is, you know, that he wanted to decide his own fate. Believe me, I would want Cade to be around forever. But he took his own fate into his own hands, and that was what was so beautiful with that. The story was mid, you're mid. How about that? Hold on.
Despite its amazing reception though, the expansion did not sell very well, and actually it sold even worse than Lightfall.
Let me.
Ah, shit. That's true though. It did sell worse than Nightfall, which is kind of fucked. I love the final shade. The campaign was a lot of fun. I wonder like when they're gonna go live. 'Cause it said at 10, half an hour or something. Sick.
Let's go places. Wouldn't it be great if you could find your shows all in one place?
Find my favorites.
Get Xfinity Stream Saver with Netflix, Apple TV Plus, and Peacock included for only $15 a month.
Now, how do you know if you know how to do whatever it is to be done by you? It's what is it that has to be done as a puzzle and solve.
As the CEO of Cashback, and I'm always hungry to see people.
The CEO of Yapping, man.
Takeout. Whether it's Patty Melt, Shirley Temples, Hot Tea, T-Bones. Are you getting this?
Say your order?
To work and lunch. Earn big with Chase Freedom Unlimited. How do you cash back?
Life's better when your stuff is protected under our roof.
Did you really need to insure that?
It was a wedding gift.
Cute.
Build a customized renter's policy with us today.
This is you, and this is your surprising hunch.
How many ads are here, dude?
And with FanDuel's easy-to-use app, you can act whenever it speaks to you.
New customers bet $5, get 200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Only from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
He massively messed up by not announcing the future to keep people interested. We lost players at a rate faster than Lightfall, and actually faster than ever before. Due to the financial underperformance of the expansion, Bungie leadership had to lay off another wave of employees, this time parting ways with even more people than last time. CEO Pete Parsons was reportedly flexing his exotic cars in the faces of employees literally 2 days before he laid them off. Due to this incident and many others, his current and former employees were seen publicly roasting him on Twitter, with countless examples like this one saying, "Pete is a joke." A few days later, it was also revealed that Destiny 3 was never in development, and this ultimately crushed the hopes of many players. Due to Bungie spending all of their money on Marathon and their new studio and a ton of failed incubation projects, they didn't have any left over to build Destiny's future. If they didn't do all of those things, they could have easily built Destiny 3 over the past few years, but instead, Bungie now finds themselves in a situation where their only source of revenue is dying faster than ever before. The decision to not develop Destiny 3 will easily go down as one of the greatest fumbles in game development history, and it lies entirely at the feet of Bungie's terrible leadership. You might think that any logical company would just replace their terrible leadership, but unfortunately, it seems that Bungie is not a very logical company. The CEO and other board members just remained in place despite everyone, including their own employees, literally begging for their replacement. Bungie leadership needs to actually face some sort of consequences for their failures. This is ridiculous. The new episodic content model for D2 turned out to be exactly the same as the seasonal model, except now there would be even less content coming out on a yearly basis. Bungie acted like they were giving us an exciting new gift, but then they just gave us the exact same shirt that we've been wearing for the past 7 years. Following this, the player sentiment became infinitely worse than ever before, and so did the player population. With notable examples like the Encore mission, Destiny has also started to become extremely buggy in the past few months. You might be wondering why this happened, and according to former community manager Liana, they have laid off their entire player support team. The cheaters are even making somewhat of a comeback due to Bungie getting rid of a large portion of their security team. I predict that things will continue to become more and more broken due to the complete absence of some of these teams, and unfortunately, this is going to cause even more frustration among the community. If you take a look a little bit deeper into the game's gradual decline over the past few years, it becomes clear that Destiny doesn't really have an audience anymore. The veteran players are tired of the repetition, and new players are incapable of joining us due to the laughably bad new player experience. There simply aren't any new players joining us to replace the veterans who are quitting. One person wrote, "Before Beyond Light, nearly every friend I tried to get into Destiny stuck around. Since Beyond Light, not one. Literally not one person I've helped get into the game played for longer than a few weeks. They never played by themselves, only when I was on. They just never had a clue what to do, no matter how much I tried to help guide them. The game has ballooned so much and become so convoluted and confusing that it is completely unapproachable for anyone who doesn't have a PhD in Destinology from playing the game for the past 10 years.
PhD in Destiny, dude.
I don't know what else to say. The new player experience has become one of the single largest contributors to Destiny's decline, and Bungie's leadership refuses to do anything about it. The only other thing to consider is perhaps the returning player population, but it turns out that the game has become so overcomplicated and unexplained that their experience isn't too great either. Quote,
literally,
"As a
my
lapsed
Destiny
player,
isn't
Bungie
even
made it
installed.
so hard to get back in if you lapse. For new players, it was almost impossible. It was a fundamental business mistake to not attract new players. It was an ever-dwindling pie."
It's like not even
Can I
installed.
just say this? I took off during the Taken King. I got hit with live stuff. I actually didn't get to play the Taken King at launch, which was unfortunate because things were popping off and everybody loved it. But at the time, I was just tied up with live stuff. I came back, though, during the April update, which is funny because I don't think that update even had a name. It just was coined as the April update. And that was the first time I had picked Destiny up. And even in D1, and I'm not saying, I'm not giving Destiny 2 an out right now, but even that lapse in Destiny 1, it was a struggle for me for months to really embed myself back again. Like, to get to where I needed to be, to get into King's Fall, to find a raid team, to find people that were willing to play with me and things like Trials of Osiris at the time. It had just been so long. Luckily, I had like 2 friends that were still playing Destiny, and eventually they ended up, helping me get through King's Fall. But it was hard to get into again. And I would say that, so what point I'm trying to make with that is that I think at every point in Destiny's life, it's been a difficult game to jump back into when you've taken a vacation from it, especially for anywhere around 5-6 months. Understanding the level and grind wasn't easy until Rise of Iron. If it wasn't for those 2 friends, we might have not we might have gotten a non-Destiny content creator cross. Yeah, dude. I honestly, if it wasn't for Dip and Nuke, if you're out there, you guys pulled me back into Destiny. You guys pulled me back in. We started playing Destiny again, and yeah. I still remember doing King's Fall for the first time with them. And I was like, holy hell, this is crazy, And I had already done the raids before. I had done, Vault of Glass and Crota's Inn and stuff. I think the issue is now when people take breaks from the game, when they come back.
Can call what's hand?
Hello.
That Nuke and Dip like I have.
Dude, listen. I literally caps locked midway through that.
Alright.
Like, okay, man.
The other thing I've realized is that if you return to the game,
Wow,
you
can't
basically
wait
just
for
do
the,
whatever is new, and then you
definitely
realize that
not
the core game and the seasonal model
mid-reveal,
still hasn't
surely
seen
not.
any innovation or improvement for the past 7 years.
It's gonna
And
be
now
such a
you
mid-reveal,
finally
dude.
get
It's
a
kind
game
of gay.
Who wants to do the same things for 7 years straight? We still have quests where you fly to the helm, then fly to Ikora, then fly to the helm
Then
again,
fly to the
and then you
helm.
watch some boring dialogue on a holoprojector, and then you fly to Nessus, and then you fly back to the helm for a third time, and then you go do a public event. There has been so little innovation for so long that players have grown tired of it, and the quality bar is actually on the floor.
I hate that this is kind of what Destiny 2 has become.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Log in and play
Penguin Zero.
and grind.
Yeah.
I want fun things to do in the game.
I think I saw this live too.
I've seen him say the state of the game live for a few times now.
Charlie with the robe right there. What?
Still doing fine. And I've seen a few statements like, oh, this happens every year, we'll be back to normal in a few months.
No.
I normally try to be pretty
Not this
optimistic, but in this case, I'm sad to say that
Now,
things are
sometimes,
really
yes,
different
it goes back in like a
Never
month.
before have content creators been forced to leave the game because they're literally unable to pay their basic bills. Many of us have started covering new games and slowly abandoning the Destiny franchise. Personally, back in June, I was all in. I was so optimistic about covering.
Like, it's literally like they like have like really good stuff, and then not even 2 weeks later they fuck it all up.
Videos as a full-time job anymore.
They
There are
somehow
roughly
find a
50
way,
full-time
time and
creators
time
covering
again,
the
somehow.
game, but as of September, all of them
Doesn't
have either
make
been
sense to
covering
me.
new games or they are reaching record low view counts. Based on all of the data and all of the analytics that I have access to, it's clear that players have never been less interested in playing the game. The one thing that Destiny does have going for it is that
I don't
there's
even have it
no
installed.
serious
I haven't played it
competition.
in
Yeah,
2
I don't
days.
blame you.
Some comparisons like Warframe,
Like
but
I got on just to do
close to
PvE while I was
Destiny
watching
universe,
fucking
gunplay,
Netflix, and then I was just like, you know what? I died in a strike, so I was like, fuck this.
Every now and then to reevaluate the game, but I think it's pretty safe to say that the best days of Destiny 2 are now behind us. We've
Bro,
lost players
the
every
best
year for
days.
several years.
Shadow, I refuse to accept it. I refuse to accept it. It's not dead.
Yes, it is.
We will go down with the ship if we have
It's
to. but it ain't
copium,
fucking
it's
dead
copium.
yet.
It's Copio,
The
dude.
best days. Get the fuck
Copium.
outta here.
As the
We are
cross,
currently
cope.
losing players faster than ever before, and it seems that we will continue to lose players as we go into the future. The game certainly will not disappear overnight, but it also will not see any form of major revival anytime soon. I asked players on Twitter about this and requested that people tell me what it would take to get them back into Destiny.
Yes, I
what's
answered that
bad
too.
when-
Destiny 3
That was me! What the fuck? That was me!
Platform. It is abundantly clear that millions of players
I was
will
on
come
a
back to
grenade,
Destiny
Jake.
3, but due to Bungie's poor
Right, but
Dude, Bungie, just
like,
call
Shadow-
it Destiny 3. Call the next expansion. Just say fuck it. It's Destiny 3.
I feel like that wouldn't
make
even
it
do much. Think
Just
about
like
it.
Destiny
Like,
2.
it's just
Nothing
gonna
different. Just call
become
it Destiny
another
3. Just fucking
sinking
just do
ship.
it.
They're gonna let
Fucking
the
do
ship
it.
sink, and they're gonna build a new ship with
leadership decisions.
a
The
bunch
only-
of parts from
the only
old
reason-
ship. They're gonna
the-
bring in a
And
new
you know what's so
ship
crazy? Can I tell you this?
with
This
the
is what's so
with the
crazy.
parts from the old
Bungie
ship.
could call the next
And then it's
next
just
Destiny 2
gonna
expansion
sink.
Destiny 3.
Eventually, anyway.
And look, unless we, the veteran players, call it out, I guarantee you some players will actually join up, play the game, and go, wow, this is kind of good. While still playing exactly what the
50
fuck
geared
we've been
subs.
playing.
Look at that, 50 tier subs.
Look, I'm not saying that a D3 isn't necessary. Okay? I'm not saying that a D3...
He's gonna stop and be
wouldn't
like,
nice things
the
back.
50 gifted
But all I'm saying
subs.
is
What
a
a
lot of
bet he's
players
gonna say that.
A lot of players feel like
Nope.
that they have,
He's locked in.
you know, been
He's
out
too
of the
locked
loop
in.
for too long, and they're just looking for that.
Now he's gonna say it. I
on-point
believe.
moment.
I love this man. I want this
And I
man to
would
give
say
me head.
From
Wait, I want.
Yeah,
know,
I
business
get it.
Wait, the other way around. My bad.
fuck yeah, hell yeah.
There it is.
And like whether it's good or bad. Noah.
Oh,
with that
there it
50
is.
gifted subs.
There it
I
is.
told you! I told you! I told you.
No, they
Fuck
keep them-
you, Cry.
Chat,
Fuck
please
you.
don't
I
share
was
all
right.
the links
I know my king.
Nah.
I know the ultimate Sigma. I know the Sigma.
cannot make a shitty D3.
Yeah, that's the call for me. You have a good stream, man.
And I'm not talking about
fun.
like a slow decline. Like,
oh, he actually
the
left.
Player base are not gonna put up with another D2 vanilla. We're not gonna do it. If they were to come out with a D3 and it's D2 vanilla all over again, dude, that's it.
Man actually left the call.
And even me, like I may end up having, I may just, it's RuneScape. I just live the rest of my days in my little player-owned house there in old school RuneScape, and I will talk about the golden days of Destiny. But I could never deal with another D2 vanilla launch again.
I do also want to say that Destiny has a lot of unrealized potential. It might even have more potential than any other game on the market. We have great gunplay, build crafting, characters, lore, space magic, and an amazing foundation for PvP that was simply never capitalized on. We have all of the puzzle pieces that could make up an incredible game, but Bungie has never quite put the pieces together in the right way. They have come close with expansions like Forsaken, and if they ever get it completely right, they will have an absolute masterpiece on their hands. I hope you enjoyed hearing this story about the fall of my favorite game, and I want to let you know that we recently spent over 1,000 hours creating an insane movie about the entire evolution of Destiny. I highly recommend that you watch that video now, and also please leave a like, because for
good video, Shadow. Thank you for that. We'll have links to that video, this video right here that we just watched, the fall of Destiny 2. I personally don't think this is it for Destiny. I know I'm biased. Okay. But we're gonna ride this bitch all the way down if we have to. All right, Bungie is live. Let's go see what they got. All right. Revenant Act 1. Here we go, baby. Please cook, Bungie. Cook. Cook, goddammit. Cross these artifact mods or shit next season or not. Game changing. You owe me 3 to 4 hours for my bounty grind. Les, it's good for you, man. You know it is, right? You know it's good for you. Les, here's the thing. You know why I told you the bounty grind? At the end of the day, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm still a little salty that you abandoned the boys and I last year for Crota's Inn because you didn't want to play an old raid. And it turned out to be one of the best day one raid experiences ever. Okay. So I'm still a little sore from it. But I will say I'm starting to come around. You keep grinding those bounties, right? You keep showing up when you need to show up. Maybe, just maybe, I might forgive you. That poster looks fire. That it does, man. That it does. Guys, this is going to kick off here soon. I'll get the lube next time. Looks like the main enemies would be Scorn and Dread. You don't like Scorn? You don't like Scorn?
I don't have it. Right. 5 minutes. 6 minutes, whatever. Ugh. Ugh. Here we go. Am I stupid?
Power wash fly.
I'm not stupid.
Alrighty. Everyone,
There we go.
Welcome, good day, good evening, good time zone to you all, and welcome back. We're coming to you live here from beautiful Bungie HQ in Bellevue, Washington. My name is Andy, and I work on the social media team here at Bungie, and today we're thrilled to get to welcome all of you into a very special stream, talking a little bit about what's to come with Act 1 of episode Revenant, launching just next week.
Why are you...
And also, we're going to go ahead and take a little bit more of a look further down the road and talk a little bit more about Codename Frontiers. But worry not, just like always, you don't have to listen to just me tell you all about it. We have some amazing folks from the Bungie development team here to go ahead and talk through it as well. And I say there's no time like the present. Let's introduce our cast of characters so we can go ahead and dive on in. Starting with someone that you may know if you've tuned into our Into the Light streams in the past, the one and only Jerome Viernich, senior narrative designer here at Bungie. Jerome, how's it going? Doing well, thank you, and welcome back again. For the folks that may not have
Is it just
seen
me
you
or
on
can
the
I
show
barely
before,
hear
or,
anything?
had a chance to go ahead and check out the Into the Light streams. Can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Sure. I'm a writer on our fantastic writing team, so that means dialogue, tending to the garden that is our lore, and doing UI UX strings.
The fun stuff. So you're the blank space filler.
That's right. That's right.
Oh my God!
Okay, I hold down E personally, but we can discuss that.
That's not my department.
That's all right. You know, we're crossplay friendly. It's okay.
That got really,
also
really
sitting
loud.
just next to him,
Like
someone
really
who is joining us now
loud.
in front of the camera, previously a member
Really
of our
loud, dude.
behind-the-scenes fire team who does so much of our heavy lifting. The one and only Clayton Kisco, staff designer here at Bungie. Clayton, welcome.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. And hey, second verse, same as the first. Can you tell the folks at home a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Yeah, so I'm a staff designer here, and I work primarily within the activities department. So I am in charge of building the skeleton and framework of the activity, developing the encounters and the boss fights as well, and building that amazing roller coaster that you tend to go on as
We've been writing it for a while. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Given that today's Tuesday and reset day, I have plenty to dive into. Thanks to you and yours. So thank you a ton, Clayton.
Yeah.
And sitting just next to him, someone that needs no introduction, but will still risk it anyway, just to make sure everyone's all caught up. The one and only the sandbox craft lead here at Bungie, the one and only Mr. Chris Proctor. Chris, how's it going?
Good, thanks, Andy.
So anyone who may not have seen you on the Into the Light streams in the past or heard you in podcasts around the community, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do here?
So I'm Chris Proctor, Sandbox Craft Lead on Destiny 2 here at Bungie. I work with the rest of the Sandbox team and Destiny leadership, other teams, to make sure that we're always hitting that gameplay quality bar that Bungie is renowned for. I occasionally also make a few things for the game.
Yep, it's not an easy job, but we thank you all for doing it. And also, I want to note, chat's calling you out immediately. You're getting a lot of love already. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Now, we're going to go ahead and dive into episode Revenant, which again is launching just next week on October 8th. But before we go ahead and dive into that, Jerome, we're on the verge now in the last week of completing episode Echoes. Can you tell us a little bit about the story that got us to where we are now?
Sure, absolutely. Well, let's start with the death of the Witness, who we thoroughly destroyed.
Absolutely.
And his giant, smoky, billowing head dissipated into a mist of darkness, which then coalesced with the Traveler's Light. Right? Crystallizing into the Echoes. Which fell into the Soul System. One of those fell, of course, to Maya Sundaresh, which we know from episode 1. And it fundamentally changed how the Vex saw themselves. And now we're going to get the same treatment with the Scorn, because one of the Echoes will be falling to Fikrul, leader of the undead Elixni army. And similarly, that Echo is going to prompt the Scorn to evolve, to see themselves in a new way, and to fundamentally change what they are. And I won't spoil anything. I'll let players discover that for themselves. But suffice it to say, Fikrul is evolving his army, he's growing his army, and in order to build Scorn armies, you need a bunch of corpses.
Interesting.
Which is not necessarily in the best interest of the Elixni. So we will be teaming up with Mithrax.
Speaking of Fikrul, we see him right here as well now. We're taking a look at the new art for episode Revenant as well.
So
Fikrul's gotten a bit of a glow up, I think.
Absolutely. This whole episode is metal. And I think that
Metal?
shows it right there. That accurately depicts the tone of the season.
Is that fighting line that Titan's holding?
It's not
With the new ornament?
I won't watch the trailer today, but when folks see the trailer, you're right. Metal is the right word to use.
Oh, so much slaying. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
My God.
But the Elixni, of course, want to prevent this, and so we'll be teaming up with Mithrax, the Kell of House Light, and his daughter, Ido, the adorable Ido.
Must be protected at all costs.
Absolutely.
Thoroughly, yeah.
And she will be bringing her expertise in herbology and ancient Elixni lore to help us craft tonics to imbue us with the power that we need to battle this evolving Scorn army.
Interesting. That is, thank you, by the way, for not only, now you've narrative directed us into our segue as well, so thank you very much. Narrative design as well. And so I think we should go ahead and dive into a little bit of gameplay, starting over here with you, Clayton. So we just heard a little bit about some new tonics and everything. Can you tell us a little bit about where we are and what we're going to be doing here? This is the new apothecary, I believe?
That's right. So we're in the apothecary space.
More
Just
clunky
mentioning
stuff.
The tonics and potions that we'll be crafting, they come in two flavors. They come in combat flavors, and they come in reward flavors. So
why?
Combat flavors are going to enhance, or rather boost your artifact perks, specific ones.
Yeah.
Higher rarities of these tonics will boost multiple artifact perks, which is really great.
Okay, yeah.
And then on the reward side, we wanted to create a new or novel way to chase your gear and your weapons that you love.
Yeah.
And we took a lot of inspiration from the success of Into the Light, where players got to attune to specific weapons.
Can that use a collective thing? This is more damage for grenade launchers?
Specific weapons within the season.
Picking up an
They're
orb.
not craftable in this season, which is important.
Chris projectile final blows, picking an orb breach.
And they'll have enhanced.
Did you just see that?
Okay, so you'll be able to go ahead and chase down
Sorry for being
all
loud.
you're looking so desperately for with the help of this. But also, for the build crafters out there, they're going to have even more to dive into than maybe just the
Looks like
episode
this
artifact
different
and
guy.
everything. These are going to go ahead and help just boost a lot of those traits, I guess, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So build crafters, make sure your appetites are whetted and ready. There's going to be plenty of stuff for you to go ahead and
Use
dive
grenade
into.
launchers to break a combatant
But
shield
we're
and you
gonna
get
go ahead
damage
also and dive
boost.
into,
Something?
some of the meat and potatoes of today's stream, proverbially speaking. As we're
Shredding
on our way
frozen
over to
targets,
Onslaught,
stasis crystal
Clayton, I
increases
just wanna go ahead
damage.
and also start there. Onslaught's getting kind of a new revamp.
Oh, an hour?
episode as well. You
Jesus.
guys
What
have
is that new thing at the bottom?
if any stones on
Whys are 5,000 of
Yeah,
this.
and so we heard players' feedback. They wanted to see us invest in Onslaught. We are coming out with a brand new Onslaught called Onslaught Salvation.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're going to have
New weapons, I thought.
3 maps that you'll be
interesting
in there. You will have some new defenses. We'll have enemy factions that will be fighting into the theme
Great.
of this episode. We'll have the Scorn.
Overload
We'll have the
screams, let's
Ball.
go.
That's right.
A bunch of other new stuff that we can get into.
Excellent. Yeah,
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Our fire team is now on their way. While we're on the way over as well, I heard a brief mention of our friends in the Shadow Legion as well. Can you tell us what the Shadow Legion is doing here and why they might be in league with Fickrel, Jerome?
The Shadow Legion are bumming. They are in utter disarray. Their leader has been slain, and they are grasping to anyone who can keep them in power.
Yeah.
And Fickrel holds the most powerful artifact around now.
Got it.
So they will be doing his bidding, though it will be a tenuous alliance.
They're going with Fickrel's Riz just for right now, but that may not be the case later on.
That's right. We will do our best to stomp that out.
Thank you. All right, fair enough. Much appreciated. All right, so now we are here. We're
PvP
in
map?
We're on,
Cool.
Widow's Court.
Yeah. So
New
PvP
Stasis
players
GL.
will, recognize this map, and they'll also recognize some of the changes that we've done to accommodate for the slaying, the amounts of slaying that is necessary for an Onslaught activity.
Yeah, a quick refresher for the folks at home that may not have dove into Onslaught recently or since Into the Light. There is the 10 level mode and the 50 level mode, isn't that correct?
Right.
This is a primary! I didn't even notice that, what the fuck?
3 modes that they've had in the past, which is the playlist 10 wave mode, the normal 50 wave mode, and then we'll have our expert 50 wave mode. And the new thing about Onslaught Salvation, one of the new things, is that it will not be powered fixed like it was prior in Into the Light. It will be power enabled, so your armor and your weapons will matter even more.
Yeah.
It will be at the start more difficult, but you can, through getting better, more power and grinding that artifact level, you'll be able to kind of outweigh that difficulty.
Yeah.
And you'll also be
Bro,
able
it's a
to
primary GL!
Yeah,
A stasis one. I know we had Fighting Lion,
a
but
turret that maybe Guardians haven't seen since their days on the moon in D1. Can you
Yeah.
tell us, like, what's going on? We got some new defenses, obviously.
We have some new defenses. So Ashley Baker is one of the tech designers we have. She's on the fire team right now, and she has helped us build these defenses, as well as other things in Onslaught. And she's worked with the Sandbox team, who have knocked it out of the park with this rideable turret.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a standard rideable turret at first, but by upgrade 3, it's going to have more health. It's going to be dealing.
Seems
more
like a
damage. It's also going to
mountaintop.
have scorching rounds come out of it.
Okay.
And what the cool thing about that is that if you have build crafting with fragments or what have you within scorching, that will play off that if you're the rider.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and really scorch
a
everyone.
2-round burst slug?
Enemies, those annoying demolitionists that come in front of the ADU and scare the hell out of you.
Yeah, they do. That was my words. Okay, they do scare that.
Yeah.
All right. So in the subject or in the topic of new defenses, so we're bringing back the turret from yesterdecade of Destiny, but also there's some other ones available as well. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some new defenses that are on the way?
Yes. So the other one that we have is the Airstrike, which will have 3 cannons when you purchase it. Or upgrade it, they'll be replenished there. And what that allows you to do is essentially mark anywhere on the ground.
Yeah.
And when an enemy or enemies run over it, a giant beam, it will come down from the sky and obliterate your enemies.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep a little bit of the secret for
What?
higher upgrades. I want to
No, that's
reveal
fair.
everything.
That's fair.
Huh?
There's some really nice upgrades.
Nimbus liked that. We'll just go ahead and put that.
There you go.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And actually,
Trip
just
mines.
to double check as well, with the airstrikes, it's not just you plant it and it fires. It actually has to wait for someone to kind of trigger that.
Waits for someone to come over, yeah.
Nice.
Much like the tripwire, which we are also updating for Onslaught Salvation. We've heard the feedback about the tripwires, and we want to bring their value up a little bit more. So now they're going to be exploding with stasis slow.
Oh!
Higher upgrades, they'll be creating stasis crystals for you to play on.
Oh, that's awesome!
Weapons. And then I'm happy to share that those updates will also
New
be
GL it looked
available
like.
in the
It
original
looks like a haunting one, like the Moon GL.
The defenses that are available in Onslaught Salvation will be available in the traditional Onslaught mode as well.
Just the tripwires.
Jesus.
Very exciting. Okay, nice. Good to see. While we're on the topic of stasis and obviously looking at our tools for destruction, Chris, I'd be remiss if I didn't try and bring up the new breach loading grenade launcher that our fire team here is getting a lot of use out of. There's obviously a decent chunk of new weapons arriving with Revenant, but let's start here. This is the new the episodic exotic.
Yeah, this would be the season pass exotic.
Yeah.
It's the Revenant Stasis primary ammo grenade launcher.
Yeah.
So we've only had one primary ammo grenade launcher before, which is Fighting Lion. Which is getting a buff this season as well, actually.
It's a season pass, yay! I could spend money to get this early.
Like serious build crafting there, particularly in PvE. But anyway,
I cannot wait.
So this is a bit different in that it's also a projectiles travel in a straight line, so like mountaintop.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard. But the exotic part of it
Killed
is
himself
that,
with it.
as you defeat enemies, you will
In-game,
have
in-game.
these remnants, which will fill up
You get danced on!
You can see in the HUD when people aren't dead.
Yeah. It's the shade.
Yes. Oh, they're an expert.
No, that's true. Yeah, we should note for the Guardians at home, this is an expert mode, so they're taking the hard way, obviously.
But yeah, when the bar reaches 50%, you can special reload, and your next shot will launch a special ammo brick.
That's sick!
To pick up.
What?
And when you reach 100, you can special reload and launch heavy ammo. So this lets you really.
He literally just scroll wheel jumped.
Which is like ammo support, which we haven't really seen in the game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think on my side, I really just spend a lot of the time getting like the Seeker and Finder mods on my helmet, but it seems like a nice additional way to go ahead and make sure that you're really feeding the fuel, of the heavy ammo burners like myself who have been addicted to microcosm recently. So
potentially you can
what the fuck is that?
All in on ammo generation. And, the other folks.
Very nice. Also, so Clayton, when it comes to the other stuff that's arriving with Onslaught Salvation,
I just see a turret. Is this fucking Fortnite?
I know that we're obviously fighting the evolved Scorn, but are there any new bosses or anything people can look forward to?
Did it just make special ammo?
The Ficral Scorn are also going to be coming out with what we're calling the Revenant Baron.
Okay.
And that thing is scary, and you'll see it on wave 6 here in a second when the players are instructed to go into like a Revenant nest and go and save the Elixni from being captured.
Are the out-of-bounds spots still available at that top on the top of that thing? So it looks more open.
Which flies in a random direction, leaving a trail so you can kind of like stalk it, find it. You have to kill it before it would respawn the Revenant Baron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's some hide and seek gameplay there. Yeah, and so we also have for the rewards.
Precision
side,
instrument search
starting
party.
on wave 30, set
Search
3,
party searching for
players
ammo,
have
maybe.
A small chance to get a fully masterwork, double perked episodic weapon.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and on expert, like we're playing.
Yeah.
If you remember the bonus chest on harder difficulty, show up. So
it
we're
has
playing on
one
expert,
for all in the GL.
Okay. All right.
Wait, it's a random rolls like crafted.
Try and hit that ceiling of level 50 so you can really facilitate the loot grind as much as you can.
100%.
Something we mentioned recently in one of our Dev Insight vlogs as well are Banes, which are going to be making an appearance here in Onslaught. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so we'll be, with the expert mode only, we'll be having Banes throughout the activity.
Oh, it's the Pale Hot
We'll also be
reskin,
adding,
but you know, spongy.
So it's really nice to have them show up because they add another layer of replayability into expert. You don't know if you're going to get the gaseous one where you're, like, you got the shot on you, or if you have to break line of sight, but it adds a fun variability within the gameplay. So every wave feels
Switches
different.
back. Does he have the bar still, or is it switch? It just gets rid of it.
You'll notice two things.
No, it doesn't get rid of it.
The fire team is tracking that Revenant Baron, just like you said.
Yeah.
And also freeing captured Elixni. And as to why people want to keep Elixni captives alive, I'll save that for the players to discover.
Sounds devious.
The other thing is that you'll see Crow chiming in a lot. He's features prominently in the season.
Right,
because he is inadvertently, of course, responsible for creating Fickrel, and so it's his responsibility as the new Hunter Vanguard to rectify his old problem.
Interesting. Even though he can't be like, hey man, that was Ultron, that wasn't me. He's going to step up and take responsibility for that.
Absolutely.
Old Fickrel's fickle out there. Even to that same end too, we're going to be hanging out with Crow, with Ido, and with Mithrax, obviously at the main kind of part of the story. They're going to be the ones that we're going to be hanging out with the most, you'd say? Or
there will be some other Elixni, some venerable old school Elixni that poke
Big
their
explosive
heads in,
light on it.
See
The GL.
some drama.
I think it's the
more than that.
Fair.
But,
it's a seasonal GL, I'm
in
guessing.
everyone's interest to see Fickrel go down here.
Okay, got it. A little bit of enemy, my enemy. In this case, they're all our enemy.
That's right.
Fair enough. Actually, really quickly, Clayton, I know we kind of touched on several different subjects here between the different defenses, different enemies, the different kind of, structural opportunities that Onslaught Salvation has provided you. What was it like, sitting down with a team and sort of looking at this new refresh on this activity? Like, did you guys take any big challenges for yourself where, like, we want to do this?
Yeah, we knew we just wanted to build and evolve and just do more.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
It's a metal episode. We want to do Onslaught. Let's metal it up.
Yeah,
right? So things like the turret.
They're
things
really
like the
trying to
Revenant
get
Baron,
people
we
to
really
play
wanna bring into the
Onslaught.
themes of this kind of haunting, spooky episode.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that in the roll dart. You're seeing that. In
Also,
in the
defeat
different
challenges.
defenses
That was a
mechanics that
seasonal
we're
challenge.
doing
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention too is we are updating the moth yards from the original Onslaught.
Oh, really?
We've heard feedback from there. If it's taking a little bit longer, we want to bring our goal is to bring that in line with the rest of the maps of the original Onslaught. So we're making some updates there to get that to go.
Very exciting. So reasons obviously to dive into all versions of Onslaught as we go ahead and move into Revenant.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Actually, and while we're here out here, slaying out as best as we can against this new undead army, Chris, we're going to have obviously a slew of new episodic weapons arriving this time.
Yeah.
I know we've kind of spoken about this this breach loading grenade launcher. Are there any other notable ones that you're most interested
Rapid
in, or most
impacts.
excited, rather, I should say, in bringing back?
Yeah, there are a few weapons that I'm going to personally be chasing rolls on. I'm particularly fond of the new double fire.
I'm sorry, did he
stasis
just
grenade
create
launcher.
fucking heavy hammer out of nowhere?
Double fire in the game, and the other two are energy.
Yeah, there's gonna be like there's gonna be a bug where you just have that and you switch weapons and then back and forth you switch your helmet and it just spawns infinite heavy ammo with auto loading shot. Oh my god, the Hawk Moon bug. You just shoot that and you pull out your ghost. Oh my god, I already think about a bug.
That's devious, honestly. Yeah.
There's also some cool synergies with the new perks on some of the other weapons. So the hand cannon can run the new perk Rhyme Stealer, which every time you shatter a stasis crystal or a frozen enemy will grant you frost armor.
Yeah.
Which is the new verb we introduced recently.
Right.
And that can also roll Headstone, which will generate stasis crystals.
Yeah.
So you've got this like self-contained loop there.
Yeah.
Submachine gun is an arc precision, and that's got the new perk shoot, what is the name of that?
My memory's failing me.
Anyway, it ties back into Jolt, right? Like the Vault Shot is great, but it requires a reload on your weapon after a kill.
Yeah.
This one's triggered on sustained damage. So
That's right.
you jolt the target. And then the perk I'm going for in the other column is Loose Change, which every time you apply a debuff, gives you a reload speed buff. So you'll be constantly having that loop cycle.
Yeah. And also, so we're going to look at the new artifact here in a little bit once we go ahead and move through this final wave of what's in front of us right now. But there's also, it's been featured a little bit in some art about Destiny's 10th anniversary, an exotic of yesteryear, we'd say, with Guardians who have been sticking around for a while, rather.
What the fuck?
Icebreaker is returning.
Yes, I knew that. Oh, yeah. I knew that.
Holding off on doing just because the ammo economy issues that are introduced in Destiny 1. Sure.
I'm eating a cookie.
We've got a version here which
will be able to fail to spawn me result of postmaster.
Get back to that fantasy of just like always having uptime on the weapon without letting you just hang back and like plink away at enemies from range.
Yeah.
Never like. So the way it works is assists and final blows.
Does not look like a rapid fire though.
Will just generate ammo
good.
for Icebreaker.
Got it.
It's got like a 10-round magazine, which is also the same size as reserves.
Yeah.
So the play is that in between boss damage phases or something, you and your team slay out, and as long as you're getting assists or kills, you'll come back in fully loaded.
Got it. Yeah.
And Destiny 1, there wasn't actually any ice to break, right? So this time we actually have a bunch of ice that you can break. I won't go into details because we've got limited time. But
fair enough. Okay.
Ties deeply into
this stasis episode will certainly be giving people a lot of reasons to break the proverbial ice by the sounds of it. No, that's very exciting to check out. Now, while we're still here, let's go ahead and check out the new artifact that's going to be arriving. We love getting a chance to show all of you folks this early, so you can go ahead but Chris, I know obviously last time around, if I had to kind of paint it with a meta, I'd say rather it'd be very focused on sniper rifles, solar. If there was a similar theme for this particular artifact, what would it be?
So it goes very hard into stasis.
Yeah.
Like touches all of the stasis verbs. If you want to make a
stasis Titan,
amplify it in a bunch of ways.
Yeah.
Here, we're also adding a bunch of grenade launcher perks. So we've got
the damage grenade launcher increases reload speed and grenade for like grenades.
Super deadly overload champions.
Yeah.
We're also bringing back a variant of like everyone's favorite grenade launcher artifact perk, Breach and Clear.
Oh yes.
So you can weaken enemies.
Grenade launcher damage both.
When you boost it, you can get the second part of that old perk. We were saying earlier, you can boost artifact perks with the potion system.
That's right. Yeah. Good. I also will admit I'm very selfishly excited to see your scout rifle back. It's been so long.
Anti-barrier.
I've missed it.
Barrier scout is great.
I'm going to pretend like that's just for me for my own benefit today.
We're trying something a bit different with this artifact as well, in that the first column is all anti-champion mods, and the final column is all of the pinnacle ones, like the capstones for your artifact build.
Right. Yeah.
But columns 2, 3, and 4 are roughly equivalent in power, which will let you mix and match them more freely instead of feeling like you have to go for the top tier ones. They're all usable in build.
It's less of a linear escalation.
Well, to the last one.
In a lot of ways. Very exciting. Okay. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for players to go ahead and amplify their build.
Damage power grenade launchers
lean into one play style. If, again, you're like me and want to run double grenade launchers, this feels like a remarkably great season to be doing that, especially with the Fighting Lion buff. Thank you for sharing that with us. But I believe that actually wraps us up for this particular segment of Onslaught. But there's also a couple more things that I wanted to go ahead and tease for the arrival of Act 1. For starters, an old favorite strike is going to be making its return. The Inverted Spire is returning. But Clayton, it's not coming back exactly as people remember it, is it?
Nope. We're taking an approach and adjusting all the encounters, and you'll see more Vex than what you're used to.
That's true. I can confirm. My compatriot on the social media team, Mitch, showed me through it a little bit. The only thing I'll spoil is if you like death lasers, you're going to have a great time out there. And then in addition to that, there's one more thing we wanted to add in. Arriving with Act 2, mind you, of Revenant, and I'm going to read this to make sure I get it right, inspired from a fan favorite activity from Destiny's past. We're going to go ahead and bring back an activity, but we're not going to tell you anything outside of that. So chat, speculate, let us know what you think. Go ahead and shout us out on Twitter or wherever it is you like to hang out online. But with that, I think we're going ready to get ready, pardon me, for the next segment. But in the meantime, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and share a little bit of what's arriving with Revenant. We appreciate your time so much today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
I mean, it takes a lot to make me look good, so thank you guys for stepping up here and helping out. I appreciate it. Now, as we transition into our next stage, we've got what we've called in my notes the cool stuff segment, and I think it lives up to that. So we'll go ahead and show you a little bit more of what's to be arriving with Revenant, including what you're seeing here on your screen right now. This is the second earnable skimmer that's going to be arriving in Destiny 2. The aptly named, we'll wait for it to highlight, the Zerf board. I was so glad that that was the name that stuck. As you can see, it features some very